What's this I see over here? The two letters, SF. Is that a girl's name or is that slang for Sinn Féin? Fuck freedom!
Welcome, everybody, to the latest episode of City Sickos. My name is Lucien Wilde, and I'm joined from San Francisco by Hannah Friedel. Hello, Hannah.
Hello, Lucien.
You are going to get some breaking news now from here in Ireland, which is going to, I'm sure, rivet you and interest you, and that is that Mayo have won the All-Ireland football final for the first time in 75 years.
Oh,
and this
fantastic.
is a huge deal because there was a curse put upon the team 75 years ago because they basically celebrated their last win by riding into town in the middle of a funeral, being really obnoxious and making loads of racket and being really disrespectful. And the urban legend is that the priest in that town went and said on the record that he would never let a Mayo team win another All-Ireland until every last one of them died out. The last guy died last year, I think, or 2 years ago.
Oh, my goodness.
And now the curse is broken and they've won. Now, I was going to write a screenplay for years about a hitman who has to go and take out the last living players on behalf of a sad Mayo fan who wants to break the curse. But now the curse is broken and they've won. And I think that screenplay has now been made redundant. But
You could still fictionalize that. I love Catholicism because I love how priests can cast curses.
it's brilliant. They're like witches. It's like
He
if
truly
men were
did.
witches.
You're not supposed to. Look, I have my background in canon law or whatever, but a priest can cast the odd curse if he wants.
I've only really started thinking about canon law recently. Our former president, Mary McAleese, has did her doctorate in canon law in Vatican City University or something, and has become one of
mad.
the world's leading canon law people. It's really interesting stuff. Anyway.
As someone who's been trying to find a job in the city of San Francisco with my current degree, I think that might be the one thing I'm qualified for. I should
Maybe go
hack
down that
into
route.
the archdiocese and bring in my canon law bona fides. Anyway,
It'd be fun to take a canon law case against somebody and to be we strike you down with the authority of canon law. I feel like that's as close as you get to just
yeah,
getting God on side as judge and executioner.
for sure. I'm Pope Leo's on the ground lawyer to curse the AI companies.
Yeah, you curse the AI companies, exactly. Well, no pope or priest would approve of the behavior in either of the films we're discussing today because these are two films
Absolutely
full
not.
of salacious extramarital activity. We are talking about Olivia Wilde's The Invite and Marco Rose, The Delinquent Season. An interesting pair. I think a clever one on my part where I think...
It was very clever. I actually
I
had
was
no idea that there was going to be such a good proxy that so captured that culture of South Dublin.
Yeah, I was trying really
versus
hard
San
with this one.
Francisco.
Yeah, I think the fact that there happened to be a Dublin movie that not only deals with two couples overlapping in this affair situation, but also has really famous actors in it is really helpful for us here today. So, The Delinquent Season is a film with Cillian Murphy, Andrew Scott, Catherine Walker, and Eva Birthistle, and there's two couples living in South Dublin, and the Cillian Murphy, Catherine Walker characters have an affair. As many of you will be more familiar with, The Invite stars Seth Rogen, Olivia Wilde, Penelope Cruz, and Edward Norton, and it's about a kind of loser, lame couple in a San Francisco apartment, and their upstairs neighbors come down and introduce them to a far more exciting world of extramarital orgies and sex parties and all this, and their very conventional view of their marriage and their whole sense of their marriage's stability is challenged on this evening in this apartment. The Invite's been the talk of the town recently. Everyone loves this movie. I was pretty cold on it. I saw it about a month and a half ago. And then on Friday, I was doing nothing. I decided I'd watch it again because I wanted to be fresher on it.
You are joking. I saw it again on Friday as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I liked it a bit more the second time. I don't love it, but
Sure.
I definitely got a bit more out of it. And I'm interested to hear your wholehearted affection for it, which I believe you have because I'm a bit colder. But take us away. The Invite. What were your thoughts?
I think The Invite, despite being almost completely indoors, was so quintessentially San Francisco. Especially, there's something about your neighbors, I know this is the case in most cities, but you're really stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
But you like seldom really get to know your neighbors in this city. Like everyone is so alienated, yet we're so physically close. And these apartment buildings, all the windows look right into each other. Bay windows that the city is so famous for.
And the
literally are
windows
just
become a huge part of the plot here.
exactly, which I think was very San Francisco. It's like these bay windows that you don't see it in this film, but they literally look right into each other. Um, so it's this kind of interesting twist of like, you know, the lack of neighborliness, or you know, the paradox of like, oh, the lack of neighborliness and the intimacy of like living in this city. Finally like realized in the form of the relationship and security of Seth Rogen and Olivia Wilde. There's a few beautiful external shots of parts of the city. I'm familiar with Molinari's Deli. I noticed upon second viewing that Olivia Wilde very, very I don't know what she takes a number at the deli,
Right.
which I was very happy to see because I've been in that deli where there's 25 people standing around as if there's a line because West Coast people don't understand the rules of the deli.
Oh
So,
my God.
but anyway, that's all very surface level. I'm sure we'll dive deeper.
Well, I think it's interesting. If you missed the first 3 minutes of the film, I think you would not know it was set in San Francisco. Maybe there is one or two mentions of it later on. I suppose there's a point where they ask Seth Rogen where he teaches, and that would probably give you a clue. But to me, I'm coming from a place of complete ignorance here, and all I know is what's in the movies. But the apartment to me and the vibes screams New York just on a pure, this is trying to emulate a Woody Allen film level. And
There was an element of that. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm so steeped in life here that I kind of recognize. I felt like it accurately represented, and especially the idea that they emphasize that this apartment is so big, not because it's like because it was two apartments.
yeah.
And they kind of make so many justifications for how they can afford to live in, such a big apartment.
Yes. Which initially they say it's inherited. It's his parents' apartment that they've inherited, right? So the apartment is very explicitly not an indication of their class positioning, whereas it is for the upstairs neighbors. And this is where this inferiority complex comes from initially.
Yeah, for sure.
Rogen is an associate professor of music who's been in like a one-time successful band. I'm not sure who his band is meant to be equivalent to, but like a late 2000s alt rock band, I guess. And
presumably in San Francisco.
yeah, so now he's teaching and isn't happy about it. You see from minute one that he's grumpy. He's grumpy about everything. He comes home, he lies down on the floor, complains about his back.
It does suck to be on BART with a bike.
Sure.
So that, and also those tiny stupid bikes that they all ride, like it is frustrating. So I've passed that music school. It's beautiful. It's such a beautiful little building. Whatever. I get a fear, he's quite a miserable person. So
He is. He reminds me hugely of myself. I think his
there was inklings of me in there as well.
His complaining reminds me of myself, but I think his he is the representation in this movie for the most straight male heteronormative mindset in this situation, and unfortunately I do think I align with that. I sit there and I'm watching the other couple talk about their life and I'm like, oh man, that sounds like a lot of effort. Why don't you guys just do things normal the way we do it? Whereas Olivia Wilde is like desperately wants a bit more excitement in her life, and he's like, other than the basic principle of wanting to sleep with Penelope Cruz, he is more or less like, that sounds like a lot of work. I'm lazy, I'm lethargic, and I want things to be conventional and normal, which I think is how I generally feel about the world. But
and like as someone, sure, and like as someone who is currently living in their childhood home in San Francisco, there is something that feels like, I don't know, I definitely felt for this character in feeling like a bit stuck and like wow, the more things change, the more they stay. I don't know, just everything can be a little, you feel that lethargy for sure. And also I have back problems, so
there you go. We both like to complain about our backs.
True.
You've had it tougher than me. I think they're definitely they're the grounded human characters in this film. I think Norton and Cruz do a very good job of playing archetypes of the sort of the Spanish sex therapist and the kind of, I mean, Norton's character is super interesting. I kind of think he's playing a variation on himself. And I'm not really sure who even could have played this part other than him. Now, I haven't seen the original Spanish film. I know friend of the show, Brendan, is a fan of it and has seen that.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a few, it's been remade in a bunch of different countries already.
Because Penelope Cruz plays the same character in that one as well.
Does she? I don't know if she's
don't
in
know.
that one. I actually
Someone
don't know.
mentioned
I'm not sure.
I think my boss said that.
At least it is like a nod to the original to have her in there as a Spanish character. But I mean, throwing a Spanish character into the American situation has all of these like implications for the dynamics that wouldn't exist if that character was played by an American actress. You know?
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
You could make her English and have her be like the kind of the naughty English character if you wanted to. But like you couldn't have her be just another plain American, I don't think.
No, and especially because in San Francisco, I feel like there's a lot of. I don't know. I went to this event a few years back where there was a lot of people who were in the porn industry in San Francisco in like the 70s and 80s. And they're like talking about where they have all these like degrees from these institutions. And I looked them up and they're all like unaccredited institutions that give you like degrees in sexology.
Right. Okay. So that's a big thing there.
Yeah, like it's kind of like these weird, and it's like not that there's the like sex, whatever, that this isn't like an invalid thing to study. I mean, God, I should know. But that I think that there's something a little kookier about like the American San Franciscan woman who pursues this versus, or like a Californian woman versus like Penelope Cruz, you take a little more seriously. You're like,
But
okay,
is that
whatever
a
her background is like.
Is that a trick though? Are we listening to her spout a bunch of nonsense, but it's dressed
True,
up
she does blame
in a Spanish
his back.
accent? Yeah.
Yeah, on his emotional issues, which I'm like,
That's not
would
really
beg
fair.
to differ. I kind of have the exact same injury.
Yeah, like I'm not sure anything she says to them as an observation about their marriage actually has that much bearing. I feel like ultimately it's their own behavior towards each other, Rogen and Wilde, that influences the kind of the breakdown and then eventual, I assume, coming back together of the marriage that happens in the last couple of scenes more than anything she says, because she's just kind of sitting there being like, you guys are a mess, your children would be happier in a broken home than living with the two of ye, which isn't necessarily true, and they don't believe that, I don't think.
She should have been an Irish woman and said it like that.
Carrie Condon would have killed it.
Oh my God, could you imagine?
I'm a sexologist. Listen to me. Or just one of the
What
women
if your
from Delinquent
testicles shriveled up? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I think so. For a bit of it's wank corner where I say wanky things for 10 seconds. First time ever on the show that there are two movies, the American movie and the Irish movie, where I have met and spent time with actors from both. So that's the wank to get out of the way. I met Edward Norton in 2024. I spent about 2.5 hours with him.
Did he seem like the same?
He seems exactly like this. I was like kind of taken aback watching this because I don't think I've ever seen him be as close to his real life vibe. Now, obviously, I wasn't with him for like very long, and it was in a public place. But he had this disarmingly relaxed manner about him, where I was like, "This feels like you're hiding something, but actually, I think you're just really fucking mellowed out and chill." And when I met him, he had just flown into Ireland from, I believe, Kenya, where he was doing like water conservation efforts with his like nonprofit. He just seemed like a guy who had been on like a meditation thing for 2 weeks. Like he was so laid back and quiet and polite and just kind of answering with short answers and just kind of nodding. And like Hawk in this movie is maybe like turned up 20% in terms of his like energy and his like friendliness. But like he's really similar to Norton in terms of just like, I'm a bit worried what's hiding behind this mask of friendliness, but in fact it turns out that it's just kind of what he's like.
Yeah, and in a way I think that I like when what feels to me like the dropping, not necessarily the dropping of the mask, but like the kind of the vulnerability is, obviously him telling the story of his wife.
Yeah.
And And it's like, yeah, that's kind of all he's hiding. Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of the only thing he's not
And
being,
he's hiding,
like,
I guess
super...
there's a little bit of a condescending attitude to Cruz that comes out when he, one too many times, he corrects her English. And she kind
Yeah.
of snaps back at him like, I never fucking correct your Spanish. Like,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, his like relationship with this non-native English speaking partner of his does have a little bit of a patronizing superiority thing to it, but otherwise, yeah, he's not hiding that much, and he is probably the purest character of the four in terms of his intentions. And like the way he responds to Rogen when Rogen at the start, when they first arrive at the apartment, is being so nasty and is like, I don't give a shit if you take your shoes off. He's like I don't give a fuck if you take your shoes off. Like, he's being so rude. He's like, and I think that performance is like dialed up on a comedy level in a way that the rest of the movie isn't, which kind of bothers me, where like Rogen is behaving like Rogen would be behaving if he was in like a really, really silly Judd Apatow movie. But I like Norton's responses to him where he's like, okay, like that feels like how Edward Norton would actually reply in that situation.
Yeah, I don't know. There was something, I found that so charming, and I don't know. It did definitely like ring true as a on which Edward Norton probably presumably spends a lot of time in California. So there you go. As a former firefighter, I don't really know.
I don't see that.
Yeah, I have a friend whose father is a former firefighter, and he seems like a really mellowed out, sweet guy.
Yes. I'd say the energy levels are correct. I just
They're
physically
like
don't see.
They're like the
Norton as a firefighter.
last people in San Francisco who have a pension. So
right, okay.
you know, it's maybe they have more reason than the rest of us to be calm.
Maybe. I think the so anyway, my issue with this movie. So I've said a lot of good things about it. My issue with this movie is Olivia Wilde's acting. I can't stand her. I've never liked her as an actress. I really, really struggled with her as an actress way back to like 2009, 2010. I have never liked a single performance she's given. I wish I did, because I think she seems like a perfectly cool person. I like her as a director. I think now I remember you and I, when we first met in 2019, were very positive on Booksmart when it came out. I imagine you still are.
Yeah.
I've cooled on it a lot. I watched it again about 2 years ago, and I was like watching it through my hands. I found the pre-COVID millennialness of it to be truly like exhausting to sit through, but that might be my personality shifting in some way as well.
That might be, in a way, for me, it feels like that's exactly what I would say. It's like this kind of little island of like culture of this feeling before the pandemic, like when it was still the 20 teens.
It's the last vestige of woke 1.0.
Yeah, it really spoke to me in early college, and like, I don't know, especially it felt like kind of America to me when I was in Ireland, and it felt so different than Irish culture, and it was really I don't know, I related to it a lot, and I don't know. I haven't watched it in many years. So.
It's a force for good. Like I find it irritating now, but it's a film with a very positive outlook on.
And again, I've like changed a lot. I could find elements of it grating as well. So it's just been a while.
If you put it side by side with Lady Bird, there's one movie there is for me a classic, and one is like a very, very transient piece of ephemera from a particular era that went stale very quickly. But I know it's not trying to be the same thing. It's not a period piece in that way, but I don't know. But anyway, I think that's a well-directed film. And I think that Don't Worry, Darling is very well-directed. It's got a dodgy script and wonky performances. And Harry Styles is dreadful in it. But I think it's got a really good sense of style, and she's really good at shooting those like weird, creepy environments.
I mean, that's like the only reason I think I was attracted to it was the
look and feel of it. So I think she's a really talented director. I think this film is incredibly well directed. Like, it finds so many different ways to shoot the apartment and to shoot the four of them in the apartment. My issues with it ultimately come down to her performance, which I just wish she'd kind of stick to the directing, and like she can do whatever she wants, and people love this performance. To me,
I liked it better the first time. I think I found it funnier the first time. The beats of it felt a little. Oh God, it was like just so exasperating the second time.
To me, it's like, okay, so the movie is kind of trying to do two things at once. Like, Norton and Cruz are on one wavelength, which is like this interesting, intelligent, insightful film about modern relationships and marriages and all of this. And Rogen is I think an incredible actor and is capable of anything you throw at him. I think that what this movie's asking of him keeps flopping back and forth between the stuff he does in the Apatow stuff or the stuff he writes himself, and the like good acting, quote unquote, that he does in The Fabelmans, Steve Jobs, whatever. But what she's doing is like this loud stage whispering she does to him, where she's like, that's not put the cheese away. Or this like, oh no, I burnt the pie. And like, she's making these facial expressions that are so like Muppety, like massive wide eyes. And she's doing this with her mouth. And I'm like, you've got to tone this down. And like, was she not behind the camera, maybe she would realize what she was doing. But she's like centering so much of the energy of the film around her own face in a way that I think is like the worst kind of pitfall an actor director can fall into when they have a really high sense of themselves as an actor. I don't
know. I enjoyed it. I think that her mania kind of adds to the whole thing. The whole thing feels like she's making this like last ditch effort, this like insane push, and she's trying so hard to, to engage with these people who could bring something exciting to her relationship, with this like absolute miserable prick.
Yeah.
He is
miserable.
But she's like trying so hard, and I think that's what I'm left with. I don't know if I get as annoyed with it. I think her energy to me makes sense in the film.
Maybe they need to show us a little bit more of what she's like on an average day.
Because
like,
truly, you don't really know much.
So I'm watching her and I'm
her.
like, is this meant to be a real person that's like this all the time? Whereas what you're saying is she is like this on this particular evening because she's worked herself up into a state of wanting this to go well, which obviously she has. But I think in order for the performance to be funny to me as her in this highly strung state, I need to see some contrast of what she'd be like on an average day when the kids are home and he's off smoking in his study. So
I do look there. What did I gosh, some of the lines that got me the second time, where she's talking about her 12-year-old daughter, and they're like, oh, you have a daughter, and she goes, yeah, I'm really gonna miss her.
Okay, yes.
I
and
don't
she's
know.
like, she's very young. Yeah,
she kind of betrays like an underlying like I don't know, like she's definitely
the funniest delivery,
much more emotionally complex.
Yes, the funniest delivery she has is when she says, Cruz goes, you pulled all this together so quickly, you only asked us about this morning. And Wilde goes, was it not yesterday morning? Was it yesterday morning? And she goes, last morning.
Last morning.
And her and Rogen have a very good back and forth on that. My favorite line in the whole movie is, I wrote it down. It's Norton talking about the flan. He goes, once you've tried her flan, you'll be at our door like a junkie under the bridge, like
day and night.
He goes like heroin. It's great. That's really good. Worth shouting out.
No, there was.
The script.
I initially was the line where he's like, they're going to hook up, and he goes like, you really have no idea how sexy you are, and she goes, oh, you're right. I'm such a stupid fucking cunt. I don't know if
all the comic timing is great in the moment where they're all about to get it on, and then Rogen's back fucks up, and then her trying to keep Norton pursuing going down on her, even though Rogen is screaming in pain in the other room. That's all very, very funny.
I think I don't have the kind of the opinion of Olivia Wilde.
I guess I've never that I have.
Exactly. I've never super duper noticed any of her performances. I think I've always kind of just thought of her as like a beautiful, competent actress who is a talented director.
It honestly might be the Irish in her that annoys me. She's like her parents are Irish, like, and I think I can tell.
Yeah, her last name's Cockburn, and she named herself Wilde after Oscar Wilde,
which
apparently.
is mad. I don't know any Cockburns in Ireland, but she's from Wexford, and like
her family is.
What?
Her parents are.
Yeah, she identifies as Irish. I think she has an Irish passport.
Lucky.
Some of the things that she does that annoy me, I think, are actually like remind me of bad Irish actors.
I could see that, because again, in California, I've been in California for like long enough that I think I'm not catching the lens is less attuned.
Yes. Rashida Jones co-wrote this film with her writing partner Will McCormick, who I just learned is not the same Will McCormick who's in Will and Grace. When I watched it the first time, I thought, could Rashida Jones have played the Olivia Wilde role? Did she write this for herself?
That's interesting.
I think she could have, and she would have done a good job. Rashida Jones never gets to do anything good anymore, and I think she's a great actress. I think she's so good in those first few seasons of Parks and Rec. And
well, she's like pigeonholed in comedic roles. I feel like
I think she would be good in this. I think she'd be able to handle the manic stuff in a more measured way than Olivia Wilde does. They could have let Olivia Wilde direct, let her star. I think it could have been great. I don't know. I think ultimately a lot of the reason this movie's been such a big hit, and like everyone I know has gone to see this in the cinema. It's been a huge hit. It's made loads of money here in Ireland. It's made lots of money in the US. I think Olivia Wilde's like tabloid persona and like the curiosity around her in celebrity culture with the Harry Styles stuff and everything that's come since has directly contributed to people wanting to see this film. I think she's a huge draw, and I think that people are interested in it as a piece of like post-divorce commentary from her as well. Like she's had this huge public divorce with Sudeikis, which is really messy.
Apparently they weren't even married, but it was like common law.
She's fucking serving her with papers and whatever. That was for the kids, right?
It must have been the kids. I listened to I used to listen to Celebrity Memoir Book Club. They now have a podcast called Good Noticings, and they were talking about her reputation and kind of history with things, and it really ironed some things out. It seems like Sudeikis, there was some pretty crazy shit going on there.
Okay. Well, it seems to me like although she didn't write the film, she definitely has a strong perspective on marriages breaking down at a certain point in one's life, and I think that the Seth Rogen character probably is a little bit of a Jason Sudeikis type, if we are to believe the impression of him that's put out in the media. So that is interesting. It would be more interesting if she had a writing credit on the film, but, you know, she probably still had a lot of room there. I'm sure there was a bit of improvisation on set and whatever.
Yeah, I've been getting a Target or an Instagram ad for this this movie that is just an interview with the four main actors talking about like, we had to open up about our sex lives in order to like perform this film, and we got to hear about Penelope Cruz and Javier Bardem, which was so sexy and interesting. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So it does sound like there was some personal. I think that they're doing that intentionally, obviously, to be like, we really brought ourselves into this, you know.
Rogen's wife has directed her first film this year, actually.
Oh, you're kidding.
He's in it. Called Babies. Penelope Cruz is having a great year. She's in like 3 or 4 things this year. People are speculating she might get a Best Supporting Actress nomination for this. I don't see that. I don't think this film's going to get any acting Oscar nominations. I think it'll get screenplay easily. The other thing I was going to say was, one other person who could play the Olivia Wilde part. Lazy choice because she's always playing Seth Rogen's wife and stuff, but Rose Byrne, she would have killed it. I think she would have been.
I haven't seen If I Have Legs.
Neither have I, but she's done a really good job as Rogen's wife in like 3 or 4 different movies. And like it might have been too obvious, but she's really good at stressed out mom performances. So she's kind of the greatest in the world at that right now in this age range. So could have been good.
I actually, that could have been good. I think there was something about Olivia Wilde, and maybe this is bad to comment on because I think that people are noticing, like obviously we're in the Ozempic era. People are getting a little gaunt.
Yes.
And I think that there's something about like she's really dressed down in this. Like if you see what's her movie with Cooper Hoffman?
I Want Your Sex.
I Want Your Sex. She's
something my neighbors just heard me say with the window wide open, by the way.
Well,
those 4 words, great.
It's the invite. So.
Yeah, it's the invite. This is how the window dynamic works here.
Yeah, exactly. They hear you say that, and then they come over with the flan, like heroin.
Yes, exactly, like heroin under the bridge.
But no, like she looks like they've dressed her like a complete sex goddess in that. Like she looks gorgeous. Yeah. But in this, I feel like she's a little more pared down. Her like face looks kind of crazy. She's like doing all these wild expressions.
Wild expressions.
Yeah, she just like has like more of a kind of wild hair look, and I don't know if I could have imagined. Maybe I don't have the reference for this. I haven't seen Rose Byrne in a role like that. I've only really seen her very put together. But I think Olivia Wilde and disheveled herself very well.
Okay, I'm trying to do in my head right now. I'm trying to cast this movie if it was made in the 90s. I'm putting Steve Martin in the Seth Rogen part. I'm putting Jeff Bridges in the Edward Norton part. I'm putting Diane Keaton in the Olivia Wilde part.
Excellent.
And I just need somebody for Penelope Cruz, who is like an interesting European actress who was around in the 90s.
Monica Bellucci.
Monica Bellucci, maybe a bit young, but yeah, someone like that. Yeah, there you go. Sorted.
I don't know. I've actually never seen Monica Bellucci in anything.
She's in like Twin Peaks, and she was in a Bond movie. I haven't really seen her in anything else.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Delinquent season, on the other hand. This is a film written and directed by Marco Rowe, who's a very, very well-liked and well-respected Irish playwright and screenwriter. And he has written many, many plays that have won awards and been put on. He has a brand new play. Well, no, he doesn't. I mix him up with Conor McPherson sometimes. He had a new play a year or two ago on in Dublin. His film credits are largely really, really strong. He wrote Intermission, which is one of my favorite Irish films ever, and was covered on an episode of Boy Party, if anyone wants to check that out. And he wrote John Crowley's movie Boy A with Andrew Garfield, which is amazing if anyone hasn't seen it. It's basically inspired by like the Jamie Balger killings in the UK. It's about one of the killers basically getting out of jail and like how he tries to like anonymously reintegrate in society. No one knows that he's the killer. Great Andrew Garfield movie. And then he wrote this film called Broken, which Cillian Murphy's also in with Tim Roth, which I like. And then he wrote and directed this himself. He also has a writing credit on Normal People.
It does really feel like a play. Like it is quite
it's such a play. With respect to Marco Rowe, very talented writer, I think he should have let someone else direct this. There's a bit of an Aaron Sorkin directing thing here where I'm like, you just don't really know where to put the camera, and I think the camera work is weird. Yeah. It's so stripped down. Yeah. The score is so stripped down. It does feel like you're. I don't know. It is. Yeah. It is lit very poorly. I feel. I think it is. It looks. It has a cheap look to it, and like some Irish films get away with looking cheap. It's really hard to get away with looking cheap when the actors in the film are in Christopher Nolan movies. You can't do it. Like if I see Cillian Murphy and the thing is lit like a soap opera, it's gonna look really bad because I normally see Cillian Murphy being shot by the best people in the world. Now the DOP on this film has done amazing work with other directors, so it's not him. He's really talented. I think it's just having a director who's not experienced with something cinematic. The story of this film is very simple but also kind of bizarre. It's about, as you said, South Dublin couples, and that neighborliness you're describing in San Francisco apartments, I don't feel that exists between random couples in South Dublin, Gen X couples. But they are all kind of the same age as the characters in the invite. You've got Cillian Murphy and Eva Berthasol are one couple, and what does he do? Is he like an architect or something? He's just a guy who fucks around. He's like a work from home. Before work from home was like a real thing, so they have this conversation where they're like, "What's that like?" He's a spoofer. Like he's clearly just like watching TV all day. Sure. And then they are friends with this other couple, Yvonne, played by Catherine Walker, and Chris, played by Andrew Scott. And Andrew Scott's given this very strange performance because I just struggle with Andrew Scott playing a straight guy. I really don't see him in a straight marriage. It seems really forced, and it just seems like there's an artifice to that I can't really see past, which is unfortunate, but I struggle with Andrew Scott sometimes. I'm not sure I think he's that great of an actor. And I think he's been good and stuff, but the stuff that people really love, like All of Us Strangers, doesn't work for me. And I really find him a little bit artificial. I suppose the very, very, very first time I saw Andrew Scott was in the BBC Sherlock. Same, yeah. Which he's good in that because he's panto performance. Yeah, exactly. And I feel like there was like a gravitas to that role that I kind of carry in my head, and whenever I see him doing something like this, it just doesn't feel like it's like, what do you mean? You're supposed to be like evil gay supervillain. This is not who you are. You're not like husband who, especially, I don't know. It just did not read to me. And then when the character takes this nasty turn where he ends up like hitting the wife, and she comes over crying to the other couple looking for refuge with the kids. The idea of Andrew Scott existing in the background as like the face of domestic violence is very hard to buy. Very, very hard to buy because he's such a soft type normally. Like, I suppose you see him being a little, it's kind of funny that you see him, in a straight marriage. You don't see him in a straight marriage because I think he plays like a
a straight priest in Fleabag quite well.
I guess I found the Fleabag thing used his weird energy well in terms of being
It did,
a
because I
priest,
think, I mean,
but the kind of the
yeah,
inherent asexuality of a priest does come across through Andrew Scott's kind of
yeah, it
flamboyant way of
helped because it's
talking.
like
Yeah.
obviously, yeah, and you're not like,
It puts a barrier up between him and Phoebe Waller-Bridge because he's a gay
yeah,
actor that makes the priest thing work.
that's exactly it. But there is still a tension there.
Hmm.
Like he can play
Yeah.
that, I think, quite well. But obviously this is like almost a tensionless, I don't want to say tension. It's a tensionless
Yeah.
performance.
Well, in about less than halfway through, we find out he's dying, and then there's no
Yeah.
tension because he's going to exit this awkward affair situation, stage left, by dying, and he's also
Yeah.
going to not be in a fit state to cause any more harm to his wife through violence. So that's out the
Yeah.
table.
And we kind of learn also that the violence is like
Related to that.
related to
And
that.
his
Yeah.
frustration. Yeah. So basically, Cillian Murphy keeps leaving his keys in the house, and he's like, "Fuck, I'm locked out." And his wife's like, He's just a buffoon in this. It's the most buffoonish
Yeah.
Cillian Murphy has ever been.
Yeah.
Insane. Like, actually, it's insane that he's in this movie. Like, a year after Dunkirk, like, it's just insane.
And he does a good job. Like he's not.
He's a great actor, but like, and I actually think
He's-
the four main actors in this. Well, I don't know about Andrew Scott. I think the other three are all quite good.
Oh, they're the ladies carry.
Like Catherine Walker, I know a bit, and is an absolutely lovely person,
Yeah.
and is, I think, very good in this. And Eva Berthasel is doing her best with a role that I think is severely underwritten.
That's exactly it. Because my thing is like, with the invite, I don't dislike any of these
Yes,
characters.
true.
I don't think anything that any of these characters is doing is like explicitly wrong.
Yeah.
Like I understand Seth Rogen's misery, even though he's being a prick about it.
Yeah.
Like I understand Olivia Wilde's earnestness and all that. But when the affair starts, I just was like, this is really shitty
Yeah.
for Danielle.
It's really shitty, and she only gets to really do these very extreme moments where she confronts him about having the affair and checks his phone.
Yeah.
And then there's
And
this,
like, what's wrong with
Yeah.
their relationship? We don't really get
Exactly.
to see them.
She seems
Yeah.
super nice. Now maybe he's bored because she wants to go see a play that she can't even tell him the name of or whatever. But like, that's not a valid.
That's not valid.
And
yeah.
then she also is like, she's also like confronts Andrew Scott about the violence at the dinner table, which is like a good bit of acting by her.
It's
but
ballsy,
That's
yeah.
the only insight we get into her as this like strong personality outside of her own marriage. The film ultimately does kind of come down on her side, I guess, because Cillian Murphy's character, like, I think in a slightly dodgy bit of like moral consequence, kind of ends up in this slightly tragic new relationship with this waitress. And like the waitress thing is introduced in a fun screenwriting way where he's out with the kids and he starts bickering with this waitress played by Lydia McGuinness, and he then meets her like 45 minutes later. He runs into her in a pub and it cuts forward a few minutes and they are relitigating the argument about the menu in the pub, which I think is like fun writing stuff. And then they end up living together, and the movie ends with this long shot of them dancing. But like, she's this like very like mouthy working class Dublin woman who swears and calls people names, and the film ends on this note of like, good fucking luck to him dealing with her. What a shitty relationship this will be. And I'm like, she could be a nice person. Like, the film is treating her like a caricature.
Yeah, it's like showing her in these
She's dealing with his
moments of
bullshit. The
duress.
same as all the women are dealing with his bullshit.
He went to see his like former affair partner. I think she's right to
get mad
like,
at him. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's a
that's
high risk
kind of what
prospect. Yeah.
she is, and yeah, exactly. You're right. It frames it as this like terrible fall from grace, and it's like, wow, to love like a working class woman
Exactly, yeah.
and live with her in an apartment in central Dublin.
yeah.
How shitty would that
How shitty
be?
would that be? It's the film's 140 or is 1 hour 45 minutes long. It feels like 3 times that. Like, it drags so much. So much of it is set in just like the two houses. Him and Catherine Walker like drinking tea across the table from each other. Actors that are super engaging, but like, again, if the lighting isn't good and if the script is just going in circles, there is a ceiling there to what they can do. I do think
It's like these people's dining rooms and
yeah.
kitchens
And the production
are
design
not
isn't
that interesting.
production design's not
Yeah,
that
and it's like I've
great.
seen better,
Yeah.
more interesting
I've seen Irish
dining
films
rooms
that
and
make
kitchens and
domestic situations look more interesting. Fun fact that I like: the woman that Cillian Murphy's character has the affair with is called Yvonne, which is Cillian Murphy's real life wife's name, and then the actress who plays the girlfriend he ends up with is called Lydia McGuinness, and his wife's name is Yvonne McGuinness. So there's some
nice.
interesting. I don't think it's an accident they called the woman Yvonne, and also Cillian Murphy's wife kind of looks a little bit like her. She has dark hair.
Yeah,
and
Yvonne doesn't seem like the most common. I didn't, but maybe it's like an older generation.
It's an older generation thing. There's a lot of Irish films and TV shows have Yvonnes in them, more than there are Yvonnes in real life. I've never met an Yvonne our age or younger, you know.
Yeah, that might be it.
What else interesting thing happens in this film? Or what else interesting? I guess they go to the beach. There's a scene where he wants a high-risk sexual encounter. So they go to the dunes on, like, Killiney or Bull Island or something, and then they get caught in the nip by a bunch of nasty teenage boys. And Cillian gets into a scrap at one of them, and he punches Cillian in the face, which then leads to a pretty funny, like, Cillian pretending he had his laptop stolen on the street or whatever. He's like, I was down on Pierce Street, you know, by the flats. Again, it is funny. If we're meant to believe that Cillian Murphy's character is inherently classist and then has to end up with this woman, maybe there is something funny in that. But, like, it's funny he has to invent the story of getting punched in the face. The girl...
It is kind of... It's also funny that it's presented like... So he's living with Orla in Rathmines, he says at the end. And he's like,
lovely. What a life.
You know, I'm living in the shitty,
I know.
you know, absolute
dream.
derelict area of Dublin, Rathmines.
Oh,
like,
insane.
Meanwhile, my wife has ended up in Blackrock, so she's done well for herself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's the two areas were comparable to me. If anything, Rathmines is nice because you're kind of like halfway in town.
Exactly.
Like,
And Yvonne is working in Colester at the start of the film, and then she ends up living in Colester too. So she's
where's Colester again?
Colester
Is that
is
in
on the way to
Kilkenny?
Raheny. No, it's near Raheny, North Dark Line.
right.
It's between Clontarf Raheny. I was there yesterday, and I was
wait,
there
yes,
yesterday.
what am I talking
and
about? I literally stayed in
You
Colester
definitely
for like
spent
2
time
months.
there, yeah. And I was there yesterday, and I was thinking about whether Yvonne was going to be around. The funeral scene. So Andrew Scott dies, like halfway through, and then there's the funeral, and very funny. Cillian's kids sit him down. So
oh my god, that was the stupidest thing. I was like, what kind of Nanny McPhee ass cartoon has this become?
This is Mary Poppins shit.
Well, you see, Dad, we really like her.
But unfortunately, he's your enemy, so we don't.
And we're your kids, and we love you.
Cillian, like, the greatest testament to Cillian's skill as an actor is how well he's able to say the line, "He's not my enemy," without making it ridiculous. He actually sells it. Like, the girl who plays his daughter is like in a bunch of stuff. For Lara McDonnell, she was in the doomed Disney Artemis Fowl movie, and she was in a film where she played Aisling Bea as a kid in a Take That musical called Greatest Days. Anyway, she's normally good. Not great, well-written children roles. Anything else interesting happen in this? Like, there's just a lot of them arguing. I mean, there is a lot of sex in it, which is like unusual for an Irish film and involving famous actors as well. So that's something to be said for it, I guess. It has more sex than The Invite does.
I don't know. I think it is interesting. I think let me think this through a little bit. I think my big comparison to The Invite is in The Invite, you really understand. You don't leave like hating anyone.
Yeah.
Unless you hate Olivia Wilde inherently.
Mm-hmm.
And in this, like, I'm looking through, because I watch it on YouTube, because it is available for free on YouTube for anyone who wants to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's immediately like, Yvonne was an evil witch.
What?
Like,
Yvonne is so harmless. Like, Yvonne is the most harmless character. She is a woman whose husband is dying and hits her, and she has an affair with Cillian Murphy, who is beautiful. I don't blame her for any of this.
Literally. And then the second but that's what I mean. It's like, I think that this movie kind of encourages you to find an enemy in one of these people.
Yeah.
I mean, the wrong person, obviously, because it should be Cillian
Cillian,
Murphy's character. But in a way, it's kind of like this. I don't want to say
It's black and white. It lacks nuance, and
it's this very black and white Catholic
it's very
thing.
old-fashioned.
Like, let's find, very old-fashioned. Like, who's right, who's wrong,
yeah.
whose feelings
There's
are
no
invalid,
gray
whose
areas
aren't,
here. And there are,
who's doing the wrong thing, who's doing the right thing.
Films about
versus
affairs and cheating don't have to be black and white. There's so many ways, especially when you've introduced this weird third element of a husband with cancer who's dying. I think it's so,
and also who's abusive, like, or who has who's like difficult to live with.
Exactly. It's so easy to make a story. Well, it's not easy, but it's so possible to make a story about cheating that has gray area in it, and you are constantly flipping back and forth between who you side with, whatever. In this film, it's very much like old school, like this bad, this good, that's it. A quote here from the Irish Times is a negative review of the film. The denizens of the Delinquent season are all ghastly, and yet, despite valiant efforts from a talented ensemble cast, not quite hard enough to be interesting or engaging. Exactly, they need to be worse. A rose stylized language and often potent dialect that sets observational banter to Memetian rhythms sounds off-key on a big screen. This is true. Some of this dialogue would work better in theater because it's literally they're talking about tea, weather, windows, curtains. Irishy stuff. I wonder the title, the Delinquent season.
They're talking about the immersion. They're talking about the wooden spoon. They're talking about the chicken fillet roll.
About the immersion in this. I think the title is pretentious as hell. Like, call this movie like For Cheaters or something. Like the Delinquent season. Okay, great.
The invite to cheat on your dying husband.
I will say I don't really like the invite as a title either. I think it's so generic.
Me
and
neither.
I think 5 years from now I will say the invite, and people will go, "Which one's that again?" And I'll go, "The Olivia Wilde thing." They go, "Oh yeah." They're gonna.
Is it the invitation?
Yeah,
the
invite?
Menu,
the invite, the invitation.
Well, my boyfriend Dan thought it was The Overnight.
The Overnight.
Which is,
that's another film. Yeah.
Yeah, another film about like couples swinging.
Is that like a Mark Duplass or one of the new girls?
I think it is directed. I think it is a Duplass. It's got Taylor Schilling, throwback. Jason Schwartzman.
Yeah. And your man, New Girl man, right? Jake Johnson.
No, Adam Scott. And then another lady who I don't know. A European woman. Always got to be one in the mix.
They got to start making the European women Irish to be more fun.
How amazing would that be? And she's like actually mean.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. You get to see very little of Dublin in this film. You get to see a little bit of, I think it's Blackrock Village or Dalkey. I'm not sure. Cillian's driving.
Where are they meant to be living?
They're living in Blackrock, I think. Cillian drives around, there's a scene where they take the bus and you can see like the back of the Frascati Centre in Blackrock. That's kind of it in terms of locations. Sure. They talk about the city centre, but they only go into these like restaurant sets that are very obviously like Ardmore sound stages. I'd say you see about as much of Dublin in this as you see in the Invite, which says a lot because the Invite literally has like an opening credit sequence of him cycling to work and her doing the shopping, and then they just are in the apartment.
But it is establishing. I mean, I think Dublin is very present in this film. Yeah. It's like
it couldn't be set anywhere else in Ireland.
The upstairs, downstairs Dublin vibe of like the Black Rock, whatever. Yeah.
No, it is maybe I would say that both the women do an excellent job of capturing the very specific energy of mothers in their 40s in South Dublin. I think that's kind of hard to do, and I think that Catherine Walker, Eva Berthas are both very good at doing that, and their characters feel like with better writing could feel very lived in and authentic, but props to them for that. The movie for me unfortunately does not really work.
No, it doesn't. I don't know. I think Cillian Murphy was doing his best. Like, it seems like a kind of person that Cillian Murphy would be well acquainted with.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah. He lives in that part of Dublin as well. Like.
Yeah. Oh, I thought he lived in Cork.
No, he lives in He's from Cork, but he lives in Monkstown now. He's a big house there.
Oh, nice.
A colleague of mine dropped something off to his house once, and he just like answered the buzzer on the gate and was like, "You can drop that there now," and then didn't open the gates.
Oh dear, the gates.
I find, for what it's worth, on a hashtag
heroin.
Yeah, exactly. On a hashtag celebrity gossip level or whatever, but based on my encounters with both of these men, I personally found Edward Norton much warmer than I've ever found Cillian Murphy. But that's just because Cillian Murphy's never had a reason to be nice to me. I'm always in a subservient position when he's around me.
Sure. Yeah, you're Jesus.
I'm like that waitress in the film.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. He's like, "Oh, you don't live in
whereas
you live in rat mines."
Whereas Andrew Scott, one of the nicest famous people I've ever met, put his hand on my shoulder, looked me in the eyes, and said, "Thank you," when I literally pointed what direction to go in. So that is an absolute gentleman. So I'm always rooting for him as a result of that.
Oh, fabulous!
That's your Who Lucien's Met corner. Hope.
Well, Cillian Murphy's got like I don't know, it's like the hometown fame.
Yeah.
I think in Ireland, like whenever you break the domestic sphere,
Yes.
it's like you can't live like a super peaceful.
No.
I'm sure you put up a wall. I don't know.
He's like the president. Like, yeah. If you win
Yeah,
an Oscar in Ireland, they make you the president.
it's true.
That's all, folks. I think we talked about these lovely films about people doing weird shit in their marriages, and maybe you too can be inspired to do some weird stuff in your marriage. I hope it is closer to The Invite and not as close to the Delinquent season.
Exactly. I hope that for everybody.
Who knows what we'll come up with next for this fun format we've constructed for ourselves. Further options to
Yeah.
come. We really struggled
It's
with
rather limiting, but it's really prompted some serious creativity.
I really the power ballad one stumped me. Like, I tried with that Sinatra movie. I sat down and watched it. It was just a fucking slog. I really think that's Pal Joey, folks. Avoid it. It's a bad musical.
You know what? I actually have a few friends who work in like film and surface,
yeah?
or like know a few people, like a few acquaintances. And I recognized one of them in the credits
That's
of The
cool.
Invite.
That's very cool.
It was so
That's a
cool. I don't
first
know if
here,
I'm close
so.
enough with her, but if I feel like if I follow her
Yeah.
career enough, like if I look at her Instagram, I'll be like, oh yeah, that movie.
Exactly.
Like
No,
we could
if
do that.
more,
you
yeah.
know?
I think new stuff is a good way to go, but we'll see how this one goes. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you. Congrats to Mayo for winning the All Ireland.
Congrats to
which is
Mayo. Thank
very
you for
current.
lifting the cursed god.
Yes, exactly. And we'll see you all very soon for more City Sickos. Bye bye.